what does it say if we're willing to break the commitments we make to ourselves on a regular basis? It doesn't say very much about how we think about ourselves. So for me, just putting it in the mind frame of I'm going to work out because I made that commitment to myself. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Because I'm going to follow through on a commitment that I make to myself because I'm worthy of that. And
Yeah.
because that builds my trust and my confidence. And of course, that's going to help me in all other aspects of my life. The other thing I would think about too is to make sure that commitments that you make to yourself are ones that actually matter to you, that move you in the direction of what's important and what really matters to you. I think a lot of times we still make commitments to ourselves based on what we think we should
Yes.
or what other people are telling us. Like, so um, I think you did this, and so I want to be careful that I'm not knocking this. But there was the period of time where 75 hard was like
Yeah.
everywhere I looked. Everybody was telling me I should do 75
Yeah.
hard and blah, blah. And I was like, no, that is never going to happen. Like, I will literally never
Yeah.
do that. That is not a desire of mine.
Yeah.
That's not moving me in the direction. Do I
Yeah.
have any beef with anybody else who did it? No. If that moves you in the direction of what's important to you, if
Yeah.
that feels, then you should do that. But I think a lot of times we make commitments even to ourselves based on what other people are telling us or that we think we should. There's
Yeah.
a difference between getting outside of your comfort zone in the direction of towards what matters versus doing something just because somebody tells you you should
Yeah.
or because you think you should. or
That's
whatever.
a really good example. And I'll tell you what, because yeah, you're right. I did that when it was a little over a year ago, and I've talked about it a ton on here because it was great I did it because I'm like, I was intrigued by it. I didn't have anybody tell me to do it because honestly, nobody was going to tell me to do it because I don't think anybody thought I actually could do it. So no one was suggesting it. But I was like, okay, this is cool. This is some definitely out of my comfort zone, building some habits. So I did it. Now, what stood out to me, I gained confidence doing it because that was probably the first time I kept every single commitment I made to myself. And there were a lot of things,
Exactly.
but what the challenge I had and why I won't repeat it, and actually we're looking at creating not something similar, but customizable, is there were components of that I absolutely loved, that those habits I've pulled with me and stuck with. And I built some confidence in sticking with those. But there were parts of that where it's so prescriptive that I'm like, this one thing out of the 10 doesn't make sense for me. So that's where I love the concept of it, but what we're looking to create is something a little bit more customizable because everybody's thing is different. And like I tell my clients, everything you do should be intentional. It should be either bringing you joy or moving you in the direction of a goal or something you want to accomplish, something you want life to look like. But you're right, because, it's for a lot of our financial clients, they're presenting their plans now for the year, and they'll send them to me and like, oh, take a look at this. And I had one person I just started working with sent me their old plan. I'm like, it literally, like, I could have written this in my sleep. There was no passion to it. There was no why. It was just so cookie cutter. And and that was my response, was every single thing on there is something that somebody else told you should do. I could tell that without even knowing you. It was so prescriptive where it's like, really? I mean, if you're going to do a business plan, let's do a business plan. Let's not just say,
Right.
I'm going to do this because so-and-so said so. But I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some people, I get asked about 70. That's a great example because I get asked about that a lot. And some people I'm like, you're not going to like it. Like, tell me why you want to do it. That's always my first question, is tell me why. And if they want to do it because they're workout freaks and they love to carry on a gallon jug of water, fantastic. But but it really is customizable. It's what do you want for you? What's going to build confidence for you?
I have two thoughts. Number one, I have no doubts that doing 75 hard built your confidence because it's all about keeping commitments that are hard to keep.
Yes.
And so, that's a really good choice. I know if I did something like that, I wouldn't keep the commitments because I don't really want to do it.
There was no alcohol for 75 days, Nicole.
I know.
That was
Sounds miserable. But
my kids looked at the list and like, you're never going to be able to do this. And so that was like, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it was a prove them wrong type of thing too. which is
Totally.
it's fine.
Well, and I think the second thing that you're saying that I completely agree with is I'm sort of over this one size fits all
Right.
approach to everything. Like
Yes.
I'm tired of reading books where people are like, this is the one way you have to do it, or
Yep.
hearing people being coached or being mentored where it's like, this is the way and the only way. Either you do it this way and you'll succeed,
Yeah.
or, you do one variation and you failed miserably. It's like, no, there are a lot of ways to skin a cat.
There are a ton, and
And what
that's
matters.
yeah, you're right. But it's customizable, and I think if you try to, maybe that's part of the confidence con that we fed into, is that we thought it was one size fits all, that it had to be done. And what's interesting is a lot of my private coaching clients come to me because they've had managing partners or other people say, I don't know how to coach you the way you do it. I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm not going to change your results, but we can change how you get there, because there's a ton of different ways. And I think I'm never going to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym and start my day at 5. It is not going to happen.
No,
And I can
I don't know
probably,
very many moms who can.
right? But I can probably pull 5 books or 10 articles that tell you all successful people do that. And I think that may be part of the con, is anytime somebody says everyone does this, all successful people do this, then you've got to really start to think critically about, is that going to work for me?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't even get me started on the 5 a.m. club. Like that is.
I am not in the 5
of
a.m. club.
mine.
I used to stay up until 5 when I was in my 20s, but not actively getting up. Yeah. Yeah.
I am president of I get up whenever the F I want club.
I like that.
That's my
we
club.
we should make
Uh,
shirts.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
No, but I say this in the book, and it was one of the reasons I wrote the book, is because we are learning about success professionally, about confidence, almost entirely from the masculine lens. And again,
Yes.
not anti-masculine, it's just an imbalance. 92% of business books as of a year and a half ago were written by men. Most of us are being mentored, trained, and coached by men. And
Yeah.
so as women, what sometimes happens is we're being asked to separate from our own authenticity. We're being asked to do things that are not just outside of our comfort zone, but are inauthentic.
Yeah.
And it's creating a lot of problems. Like you, I get reached out to a lot where people are like, I can't coach this person.
Yep.
Can you step in? And it's like just doing it differently. And oddly, more often than not, when I'm coaching women, we're focused on doing less, not
Yes.
doing more, and
Yes.
how they achieve more. And it's this like, it's so contradictory to what they're being
Taught.
told in their professional environments. It's really hard to unwire and rewire for a lot of people,
It's
myself
fun
included.
though.
But it's so
Yeah.
important.
It's important, and it's fun. Like when you see it click, because it is. And I kind of joke. I'm like, I will say I have male private clients as well. My females probably work less hours and produce more, and
Mhm.
scale more and quicker, and they do, because they get a lot done. But to your point, if we're doing things in a way that's inauthentic, that may be more masculine or something like that, we're not honoring the parts of us that are more nurturing, that are more relationship focused, that are more caregiving. If we're not allowing those pieces in, the confidence we're building, it is a little bit inauthentic, and it is harder. It's harder to sustain. And I think it didn't hit
Yeah.
me. Like I said, I pushed back on the whole thing for a while, and I would say probably late 40s was when I finally started going, okay, this feels good. This feels right. I'm feeling better about myself. I'm feeling better. And that's when I started attracting the right clients, the right friends, the right relationship, but it was because I was right with me. And it's still a work in
Yeah.
progress. Like I'm still a hot mess on any given day, as I'm sleeping in.
Same.
But
Yeah.
we're all a work in progress, but we've got to move towards the things that are building up the confidence and the feeling good about where we are and who we are.
Yeah, and I would add too, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well, Kristen, is I interact with a lot of men who are looking for a little bit more of that balanced approach as
Yeah.
well. I think we've over-rotated so much on the grit, grind, hard work,
Yep.
long hours as a badge of honor,
Yeah.
cold, so much focus on activity. not as much on relationship,
Yeah.
those types of things. I think I'm here. Well, maybe it'd be the men who reach out to me that so of course I'd hear it from them. But
Yeah.
I'm hearing more and more from men that they're craving a little bit more of that balance as well.
I think you mentioned earlier the pendulum swung so far, and it's starting to come back to the middle. And I think it'll probably swing too far the other way. But there's this balance in the middle of still being able to be great at our jobs and productive members of our company or companies or whatever, our careers hold, but also being present for the people. Because I feel like in order to truly be, you know, confident and not need the external validation, I think so many of us were seeking it other places, and to have it from
Yeah.
within side or higher power or however you want it, to have that type of validation, that feels good. That's when I think we really can sink in and start to do our best work. It's a lifelong
Yeah.
lifelong journey to get there, for sure.
I couldn't agree more. It's that progress over perfection.
Yeah.
Always work in progress. And I mean, I literally wrote a book on confidence, and I have days where I feel like I have none, right?
Yeah.
And then I have days where I feel like, I can trust myself to do anything, and I vacillate in between. One of the things that I love about this focus, this obsession that I have with confidence, is it has taught me how to recover quicker, how to dust myself off, stand back up, get back into action faster than I would have if left to my own devices. And it also has taught me to honor and embrace things that I wouldn't have in the past, whether it be, that more feminine side, listening, slowing down, doing less, honoring my emotions, letting them, knowing that they're telling me something.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I said this on my podcast. I am coming into this year with no business plan. This is the first time I've ever done this. I'm always,
Yeah.
business plan, strategies, lead indicators, lag indicators. I always have, because, I that's my history,
Yep.
right? That's the way you do business. And I'm not in that place right now. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to honor this. The year is an arbitrary thing. And I would be putting together a plan and a strategy for the sake of doing it. And that seems counterproductive to me. And so as of January 5th, as we sit here today, I have no plan. And it's scary as all get out, but I know that I know that this is the right approach for me right now.